Welcome to Suburban On Air at Cohen in the City, and I bring to you from BC, but a proud Montrealer most of the year, and hopefully again soon, the head coach of the Montreal Alouettes, Kahari Jones. Welcome, Kahari.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Dr. Peter Gutierrez, who's one of North America's leading suicideologists, and he joins us from Colorado. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here, Mike. Thank you.
All right. I think I got it right off the start. We're talking here. This is about LivingWorks, which is supporting efforts to create a worldwide free from suicide loss. And we know that's a big topic right now during the pandemic. Dr. Gutierrez, I've never heard of the term suicideologist. Can you explain that to me first, please?
Sure. And you're not alone. It's an unusual term. It's one that was created by Dr. Ed Schneidman, who is sort of considered to be the founding father of the field in North America. Basically, it's someone who studies the problem of suicide and evidence-based solutions to the problem of suicide. So as with pretty much any other scientific term, you add "ist" to the end and you've got someone who studies whatever the problem is. So but you're right. Most people have never heard of it before.
It's obviously a big problem all over the world, perhaps now during COVID. And there was someone who worked with me. I didn't really know her, but I know that it was a situation where it was around when the pandemic started, and we were doing a publication. She was called. We didn't know anything other than she was just one of our workers. She was called to help us write an article, and she wrote the most wonderful article, and she was so direct with it, and she worked so hard at it, and she called and she checked, and a week later she took her life. And it was shocking because there were no signs from people who at least worked with her, but someone told me that when people are planning to commit suicide, they've made their plan, they're at peace with it, and they're trying to tie up loose ends. Would that describe what was going on in this person's mind?
Well, it's hard to know without knowing anything more about her than what you just said. And let me say, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear of the loss. It's a tragedy anytime anyone dies by suicide. And for those of us who are involved in suicide prevention, what makes it so challenging is that everyone's situation is a little bit different. The reasons why people think about suicide differ from person to person. And in the moments leading up to a suicide, people present in different ways. So some people absolutely have resolved that they're going to do it, and they're tying up loose ends, and they don't want anyone to know what they're thinking about because they don't want anyone to try and stop them. Other people give off sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle warning signs that they're in crisis. And that one of the things that LivingWorks has always done is to try and teach people to recognize those warning signs when someone is exhibiting them, and to know when to ask, are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about suicide? So for the listeners, I would say that if you're concerned about a friend, a family member, a coworker, ask them what's going on, and do not shy away from using the word suicide over saying, "Are you thinking about killing yourself?" There's a myth that asking people that question will give them an idea that they don't already have, and that is absolutely a myth. There is no scientific evidence whatsoever to back that up. And actually what a lot of people will say afterwards is they're glad someone finally asked them. Some people, they may have been thinking about suicide for years or even decades, and no one has ever raised the question with them. And when someone finally does, they experience it as a huge relief, and they want to talk about it.
Kahari, how did you get involved, being a former football player, now coach? How did you get involved with this cause as an ambassador?
Yeah, well, it really started 14 years ago when after I finished playing football, and I was not yet coaching, but doing some broadcasting and then and doing some acting as well. And I got a chance to work with LivingWorks as an actor and to be a trainer for one of the LivingWorks training series to teach people about suicide. And through that process, it started out as an acting job, but there were a lot of real elements for me. I've had people in my life and friends and family that have made attempts or even died by suicide. And so it became a real thing for me. And I found out, years ago that they were still using these videos to teach, and it's been shown quite a bit over the years. And so then I was approached by LivingWorks recently, and we talked, and it was a great opportunity to be involved again. And they have a new program out called LivingWorks Start, and so I've taken the program and given me a lot of great information on just kind of what Dr. Gutierrez was talking about, just how to approach people with that are thinking about suicide. And I think it's just one of the most important things that you can do to help this cause. And people don't have the tools a lot of the times to know what to say or what to do. And I know I've been in that situation. And so I'm really happy to lend my voice to this, and hopefully it gets people to go on to LivingWorks site and look at LivingWorks Start and as really a tool to help everyone.
As a football coach, you're close to your players. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of them are having a very rough time with the COVID situation. Some of them, this is their only job. They have a year or two left in their career. There's all kinds of scenarios. Are you staying in touch with your players? Are you trying to give them a boost? Is that something on your mind?
It is, and that you make a great point. At this point right now, all of our guys are used to playing football, and we'd be into the season, and things would be normal. But a lot of these guys are not playing for the first time in a long time, dealing with a lot of different situations. And so I'm calling guys as much as I can, and just kind of checking in and making sure that everybody is doing okay. And again, with LivingWorks and with some of the things that I've learned, I think it's just another tool and something that can help me to reach my players and to make sure that they're doing fine, physically, mentally, everything. And hopefully we do end up having a season, but there's a chance that we don't. And then, we'll just keep having to check on the guys and make sure everybody's doing okay.
Is this something in the future, because I work by day in the school system, is this something in the future that when you're back in Montreal and there's a new normal, you would go out and speak on this subject in Montreal?
Oh, definitely. It's something that, I believe wholeheartedly in. And I can't implore people enough to go look at LivingWorks Start. And I don't just say that just because I'm with them, but just the tools that you get on that are invaluable, and the scenes that they kind of draw out are very real and things that you can take with you. And like I said, I wish I would have seen it maybe a little earlier. I feel like there may have been a person or two in my life that I probably would have had the tools to help them get through some things if I would have had these tools at that time. And so, but I'm happy I've found it now.
Dr. Gutierrez, LivingWorks is at least based in Calgary, based on what I've received, but you're in Colorado. So how far spread is it in terms of its reach all over the States and Canada? Is it expanding?
We're a multinational company. So yes, as you said, the home office is in Calgary. We also have an office in the States, in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and then there's also an Australian-based operation. But there are LivingWorks trainers around the world. And the company has existed for a little over 35 years. And in that time, well over 1 million individuals have been trained by LivingWorks trainers. So our reach is global, and we're always working to reach more people. As Kahari said, everyone can benefit from the kinds of skills that you can learn through our various trainings. And one of the fundamental philosophies of LivingWorks is that everyone has a role to play in suicide prevention. That it's a public health problem, and it requires a public health solution. And as we've learned from the response to the pandemic, in the same way as wearing a mask and washing your hands frequently and social distancing is something that every single person can do to slow the spread of this terrible virus. Same thing is true for suicide prevention. We can all learn to listen for warning signs, to know how to respond to people, to know what resources exist in our local communities that can help people with the reasons that make them think about suicide. And so we all play a role in that. And so there's always more work to be done. But the hope is that eventually we get to a suicide-free world.
I must ask you, my final question for you, the one more for Kahari, is how big of a worry is it? I mean, you would think during COVID, if people are depressed on a regular basis just because of their regular lives, you have people right now who probably had great lives before COVID, and their lives have come smashing down on them in all kinds of ways. So how big of a worry is suicide now during the COVID crisis, which is not going to end anytime soon?
It's big. None of us have ever lived through anything like this pandemic before. Many of us have lived through other significant crises. And interestingly, during acute crises, suicide rates tend to go down. So in the United States, in the weeks after the 9/11 attacks, suicide rates decreased dramatically. Calls to the crisis line went up significantly. And then the suicide rates came back up. But of course, this is like nothing we've ever experienced. So there are plenty of impacts of the pandemic that are affecting risk factors for suicide. And the crisis lines are definitely seeing an increase in calls. Crisis services more broadly are seeing many more clients needing help. So we're very concerned, and everyone within the suicide prevention community is monitoring things. They're trying to prepare as much as possible, but it's putting a strain on our system in the same way as it's putting a strain on the physical healthcare system. So I think there are unfortunately a lot of things to make us nervous.
Kahari, I have to ask you a football question before we go. And you're talking to a guy you reconverted into a huge Alouettes fan last year. I mean, I was like everyone else. I was so looking forward to this season. There may be possibly a Hub City smaller schedule in September. We don't know. But how disappointing is it to you to be sitting home with all the excitement you would have had this year, in training camp, starting with a full training camp? This has to be very difficult on you and your team.
Yes, it is. It is. I was really looking forward to this season. I mean, with the momentum that we had gained and the confidence that we had gained from last year, and seeing the guys achieve and have some success. Very excited about coming back and seeing these guys with a full camp, and there was a lot of excitement in the off season with the players and everything, so it's no doubt it's disappointing, but we're dealing with it, and we're still holding out hope that we're gonna find a way to play a shortened season and get the guys back together and have them do what they love to do, and us do what we love to do. So it's tough, but I just take solace in the fact that it's tough for everyone, and so we're not alone in this. It's not just hitting football or us. It's hitting everybody, and so with that, I'm trying to enjoy the time that I have, and it's been a lot of years since I've had a summer at home,
I
and
can
so
imagine.
so it's getting a lot of things done around the house, and trying to stay busy and everything. But football is always in the forefront of my mind, and we're still meeting, we're still getting ready, and we're still holding hope that we're gonna find a way to have a shortened season. But I can't wait to get back to Montreal. I'm really excited, and I felt like there was a buzz in the city that may not have been there for some years, and excited to hopefully we can, whenever we do get back, we can still build on that, and I think we can.
Well, people in the East End have been looking for you on the sidewalks because they don't see you doing your long walk from the stadium to your house every day. He's quite a walker, Dr. Gutierrez, let me tell you. Listen, I want to thank you both for your time, and I want to commend you for what you're doing on this very important subject. Stay safe and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Harry Jones and Dr. Pete Gutierrez have been my guests today. Thank you very much.